Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad you can be with us today. Our topic is Disability Rights Legislative Day, and we've got a couple of great panelists with us. So, without further ado, I'm going to let Hannah and Isaiah introduce themselves and tell us about their roles. So, Isaiah, what brings you to our Q&A today?
My name is Isaiah Boardson, and the reason why I am here is I got some experience with the RD Day 3 years ago and also last year, and so that's why I'm here is to tell you about the RD Day last
I
year.
I love that. I think a lot of people want to know what they can really expect when they're going to go to an event like this. So it's really terrific to have you with us. And Hannah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Satterwhite. I'm a family navigator here at St. Louis ARC. And I've been a part of Disability Rights Legislative Day also since about 2021. So I'm just here to share some information and to help you all feel prepared if you would like to participate in any way this year.
Awesome. All right. Well, Hannah, I know you brought a couple of slides to help us get ready and think about questions. So why don't you go ahead and take the screen?
All right. Disability Rights Legislative Day. If you haven't been before, this is a lovely photo of the Capitol Rotunda here in our state capitol in Jefferson City, Missouri. As you can see, we've got folks joining on the ground there on the first level, as well as up on the second floor, looking over the rotunda. It's a nice, lovely photo. And this is a crowd of over 200 people. I believe this was 2023. So, you can expect a large crowd if you're going in person. I wanted to share a little bit of how gorgeous the space is and what a nice community we have going on. So, this year, the theme for 2024 is We Are Here. And that theme was chosen by self advocates who submitted their ideas to an online survey, um, online and I think in-person survey. And there were several theme ideas submitted. People wanted to collect ideas for what disability rights meant to them and ideas for what a theme could look like this year. And We Are Here just really shows that our community of folks with disabilities and their supporters, their families and friends and staff are all united. And we're here showing up at the Capitol to make our presence known. So save the date for March 13th. That's a Wednesday. And you can participate in person or virtually. And the most details are going to be available on drld.org with also updates on the Disability Rights Legislative Day Facebook page. So if you have Facebook and you want to find them there, you can look them up there as well. So in person, if you choose to travel to the Missouri State Capitol, you're gonna go to Jefferson City for an in-person rally. The rally is usually about an hour long, and I don't believe on the website they have released the official time yet, but that should be out very soon. So keep looking at that website and or that Facebook page for the exact timing of the rally. And if you register online, you should get updates as well. The day starts with a rally that's about an hour long, where you'll hear from self-advocates and legislators and people who understand, legislative priorities that affect the community. And then there will be some resource tables there. There will be some leaders this year, some self-advocate leaders who can assist with providing information. And in the afternoon after the rally, usually folks take that time to meet with their legislators. And I do want to say that it is important that if you aren't traveling with a group, if you're traveling on your own, you do need to reach out and set a meeting yourself with your legislator. If you're going with a group that has said that they are setting meetings, then just make sure you talk to them and make sure that's happening before you go. Usually those meetings are maybe around 10 minutes long, maybe 15 minutes. But sometimes, as we've talked about in the past, you may miss your legislator, or you may catch them in the hallway for 2 minutes. So it doesn't always go exactly to plan, but I promise it is a very impactful day nonetheless. Another just quick tips is that it's a great idea to plan for parking, extra time for parking. There is a circle drive so folks can get dropped off. And the Capitol does have an accessible restroom downstairs, and they do have accessible entrances. So that information should be available on drld.org as well. But you'll need to be dropped off and go through security, which takes a few minutes if there's a line. And then have a plan for lunch. It's usually, I usually tell folks that I go with, it's quickest if you bring a lunch. But there is a cafe downstairs, and there are also restaurants nearby, just so long as you have a plan and you know what you're going to do for lunch. If you can't make it in person, there's a virtual option. There will be a YouTube live stream online, so you won't be seen, just kind of like this webinar where you'll see the main stage and you'll hear the speakers, and there will be closed captioning, but you will not be able to interact during the rally. But you'll watch the rally, and then afterwards there are 3 Zoom breakout sessions that you can register for, and those are about topics related to disability rights. So you can register for online or in-person access at the link below. That's drld.org. And then there's a registration link on that website. If you don't know how to set a meeting with your legislator, first of all, if you try and you are having trouble, you can email advocacy@slark.org, and we'd be happy to provide you some additional information. But there is a link here, senate.mo.gov/legislator lookup or legis lookup. That is a great, easy link. If you just put in your address, you should be able to see your state and federal legislators. We're mainly focusing on state legislators for this event. So your senators, your state senators, and your state representatives. And then if you go to house.mo.gov or senate.mo.gov, they should have profiles where if you type in their name, you can find their phone number. Phone numbers and emails are a great way to reach out to them to set a meeting. You'll want to ask them in advance, probably a couple weeks in advance, if they are available to meet with you, and let them know that you're going to either be in person for Disability Rights Legislative Day, or if you would like to meet with them on Zoom, you can also request that. So if you need any additional information, you can reach out to this email address, advocacy@slark.org. And here's just this info again, the DRLD website and how to register. And if you have questions, let us know. Here's a nice photo from last year, some of our St. Louis Art group that went together, and they had a wonderful time at the Capitol. They met with their legislators, and I think everyone really enjoyed their day. And I see we have another, one of our self-advocates joined us. Katie's here.
I'm sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
Hi, Katie. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your experience with Disability Rights Legislative Day.
I'm a self-advocate. I'm the communication outreach specialist for St. Louis Advocate. So, and I volunteer for the music program for St. Louis Arc, and I love it. So I love both of them. As far as DRLD Day, I felt my experience was not as good as going in person because I wasn't able to really speak with my legislators that much. So I think that needs to be improved.
Excellent. I was wondering about kind of the pros and cons. I think everybody has to decide for themselves about whether they want to take the time to go all the way to Jefferson City, but it really is a great opportunity to speak directly to your legislator. I'm going to follow up with you and then ask Isaiah to maybe make some comments too, because when I talk to people, a lot of them say, I'm really scared to talk to my legislator. They're like this powerful person in Jefferson City, and I'm just this, little constituent in St. Louis. How do you prepare when you want to talk to your legislators so that you go in feeling confident?
Well, just make sure you have a plan of action. Um, just make sure your points are very clear and precise, and that they know that you really are passionate about advocating for yourself and others.
Okay. That makes a ton of sense. Is there a particular issue that is your primary focus when you talk to your legislator?
Yes, DSPs, direct support professionals, and employment are two of the topics that I'm very interested in because I have great DSPs, so I want to continue to fight for them and my new DSPs coming in.
Thank you so much. Isaiah, how about you? Is there anything you do to prepare yourself when you're going to speak to your legislator?
No, I just like go on in and speak about my story, and he just take notes.
Okay. And are there specific things that you're passionate about that you want to make sure your legislator knows?
Yeah, I'm passionate about is that grandma being my guardian.
Okay. So you want to be involved in the decision making, doing your decision making and who makes decisions to support you, right?
Yes.
Great. Hannah, these guys did a pretty good job of summing it up, but is there anything for you that you like to help people think about before they speak to their legislator?
Definitely. I really like to talk with folks about, okay, if you only have 5 minutes with this person, what's the biggest thing, what's the most impactful thing you can share about your story? I really love when people can go and share a little bit about themselves and some personal stories with their legislators, because our legislators really need to get to know us. Even if, Sharon, you said they seem like this big important person and I'm just one little constituent, but they really are there to represent all of us in their district, and that includes people with disabilities. So it's really cool to see everyone meeting and sharing a little bit about their lives with their legislators. So
And I
pick your
feel
pick your one or two topics that you really want to focus in on and
yeah,
highlight those.
that's great advice. And I have to say, I feel like our self advocates are not as nervous about it as I am. They're really confident. And part of that, I think, is that they are building a relationship, not just at that one day, but they invite their legislators to come to our advocacy meetings and talk about new legislation. They invite them to come and do town hall conversations where we ask them questions. So you don't have to wait to Disability Rights Legislative Day to have those conversations. You can also speak to your legislator right here at home where they live too. And they're on term limits, so they need some help to learn about everything that's happening in the disability community. We have several questions about logistics, and you talked already about lunch and security and parking, but are there any other security issues that people need to be aware of?
I'll go into a little more detail. For lunch suggestions, like I said, I typically suggest if you're going in a group and it is a full room, so it is a little bit of a chaotic day. Accessibility things to note is that, while there is an accessible restroom, you may have to travel a little bit on an elevator to find it. So look for a person in a DRLD shirt if you have a question about where things are located. If loud, echoey sounds bother you, you may want to bring headphones or plan to take a break in a different room. If you do know your legislator already, some of them do offer for you to take a break in their offices, which is really, really kind. So, you know, bring whatever you feel you need to feel comfortable in a crowd, and don't worry about taking a break if you need to go outside for a moment or kind of going away from the crowd if you need to. But I just suggest have a plan for lunch. So if you want to order or go to a restaurant, that's fine, especially if you travel with a group. You just might you might want to account for some extra time after the rally or maybe before the rally to do that. But there is a cafeteria downstairs. It just will probably have a line. So just for whatever you're planning, just make sure you've got time. Security is not super, super intense. You just, you know, you may have to put your personal items, phones, keys in a little scanner and go through. So you may be in a line for potentially up to 10-15 minutes if it's a really long line. So I usually like to arrive an hour before the rally if I can. And there are a few parking options. There's a free parking lot, but it's at the bottom of a hill. And there is a parking garage nearby that costs some money. And there is an accessible entrance, but just account for time. And drld.org, I believe, has more specifics on parking. You don't need a parking pass if you use those parking options. But if you park in the Circle Drive for more than, I don't know if it's like 1 hour parking or 2 hour parking, but you could get a ticket. So just be careful of, dropping off is fine. But if you're staying there for the whole day, you could get a ticket.
Yeah, I think anytime you're going to an event that has this many people, giving yourself a lot of extra time is a great recommendation, whether it's a disability rights legislative day, a conference, a music festival. Everything always takes a little bit more time when there's a crowd. So that is really great advice.
If you are in doubt, there are security guards outside that you can ask. So I would recommend, you know, come early, look for a spot at the top, near the top of the hill. If you're not finding one, reach out to a security guard,
Okay.
or, you know, make a plan ahead of time and contact Disability Rights Legislative Day and see if you can make a plan ahead of time.
So the other question that was in our chat was, can we meet up with you if we go with a different group? How can we find you?
So I would say, one, we may run into each other easily, but two, given that it's a huge crowd, it is hard to find people. So I would say if you want to meet up with me, I will be wearing a DRLD shirt. I don't know what color it will be yet, but I might be one of the people that's up near the front, near the stage. If you see me there and you recognize me from the ARC or from this video, I'm friendly, so feel free to come say hi. And maybe we can make a plan to coordinate where we sit if there's enough, you know, if there's early enough discussion about that. But yeah, it is hard to find people in that space. So I would say the more planning you can do in advance of, hey, where will you be at this time? Let's try and meet up. But just knowing that sometimes things don't go to plan in such a large crowd.
I want to talk a little bit about the speakers at the rally. What are some of the things that are going to be discussed? What are the priorities? You said there was a survey. How did your committee work through those, Hannah? And
So
first of all, let me just let everybody know that Hannah participates at the state level to plan this event. So huge shout out to Hannah for all the work she does for advocacy.
thank you, everyone. And I will say too, if you're a self-advocate and you're interested in getting involved in either some of the surveys next year, if you didn't know about them, I try my best to get them out to people in my network. So if you join the St. Louis Self Advocates group, and get emails on that email list. I do send those surveys out to that group. So you can email advocacy@slark.org. But yeah, so we sent out a survey to as many folks as we could get it to. Of course, it's not ever perfect, and we always want to reach more people. But the goal of that survey was to see what are themes that people are really, really looking for. So we got a lot of responses. Many people were suggesting themes related to, they wanted to hear about transportation issues in their regions. This looks different in each city or county, but it's an issue across our state. So transportation was a big one. DSPs and having enough, being able to have enough staff in your agency or people to staff your home was a big one. Employment opportunities, things like that. So you will hear themes of this all throughout the rally, and there will be specific speakers that have not been announced yet, but there will be speakers to talk on each topic. And each of the Zoom sessions will have a theme as well. Oh, and yes, one of our self-advocates, Jakeem, put in the chat that he took the survey. Thank you for participating. It's always good to have tons of feedback from all of you, self-advocates, family members, and people across the whole state. So thank you for participating in that survey.
I think that's one of the things that excites me the most about where we are right now with advocacy, because even 5 years ago, I don't think we had a very strong group of advocates that were speaking up for what was important to them. And I've learned so much about, like, Isaiah mentioned decision making. We have had a number of advocates really prioritize that to me and say, I want to know how to make more decisions as a person with a guardian. I want to know how to see if I can get rid of my guardianship. Lots and lots of questions that I think that's really might be an area that I would have ignored if not for the advocate voice. So I just think we're in a really great time for those leadership opportunities in those roles. Hannah, you mentioned St. Louis Self Advocates a minute ago, and I just want to make sure people know a little bit about that.
The Self Advocates are a group of adults with disabilities who meet every Thursday from 4 to 5:30. And most of those meetings are on Zoom, but we are trying to also offer some in-person opportunities as well. So those will come up, every few months, maybe an in-person get together. And so we really like both of those options.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add about Disability Rights Legislative Day? If somebody's on the fence thinking about whether they should go or not, what do you want to say to them? Isaiah?
Just go and have fun and just be happy.
It doesn't get better than that. Katie?
Just look forward to these stories because the stories are really moving.
I like that.
And Katie, you watched the virtual live stream last year, right?
Yes.
So while Katie mentioned it's might not be as, might not be ideal or everyone's first option, but it does make it so much more accessible to have that live stream. Did you enjoy the speakers that you heard?
Yes, I did. I really did enjoy the speakers that I heard. They were very moving and I learned a lot from them. So I was grateful for that experience. So.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's so powerful to hear people's stories. And the whole point of the rally is to get you fired up. And so hopefully everybody's going to go, get fired up, come back, keep in conversation with your legislator, and reach out to us at advocacy@slark.org so you can be engaged in more advocacy work with us. Thank you so much. Hannah, is there anything you want to wrap with?
No, I think these guys did a great job. Just let us know if you have questions and go and have fun. Like Isaiah said, it's a very energizing day. So I hope you all
Yes.
participate in whatever way you can.